passed on to someone that you care about. Good question. Let's go ahead and take the next one. Looks like ISRC is back around again. He says, enjoy your work. When you're buying rural land, are there any other considerations other than mineral and water rights? Is there such thing as timber rights, for example, looking to fully own and protect what we buy probably in Idaho? I've never heard of that, where timber rights don't convey to the buyer. I guess it could happen. The deal is that any kind of rights that would be held back from you as a buyer during the closing would have to be disclosed, specifically if you asked. So simply by asking the question at closing, are there any rights to any portion of this property that do not convey with the sale, that would have to be part of the seller's disclosure prior to even getting to the closing. There's always on any kind of a purchase a seller's disclosure, and you have the opportunity to use a kind of a cut and paste version of a seller's disclosure or append to it and ask additional questions for disclosure. So so there you go. Somebody's saying the same thing. Radiocraft and their timber rights exist, but they must be disclosed. I've never looked at a piece of property with timber rights that didn't convey, but I figured there could probably be situations where that would be the case. Let's go ahead and take the next question. Sky Pilot 1, man, sound off with your question.
I'm trying to get it there in text. If not, I'll ask it. There you go.
I don't see Sky Pilot's text. Am I missing it? I'm going all the way back up to the last one in red. I'm seeing everybody but Sky Pilot. Can you repaste your question there, dude? Yeah, maybe you asked it a long time ago and it's rolled down. I don't see your question, dude. If I'm missing it, somebody let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and take Gold Tribe's question. And if you'll drop it into the text chat, I'll answer it as soon as I'm done with his. But I just don't see it. Go ahead, Gold Tribe.
Hey, Sky Pilot. We didn't get your question. Actually, this isn't a question. I was just going to give you a chance to have a glass of water or something like that real quick. Or I don't know if you need a break or not, but if you do, please take this time because I just want to do a little bit of a mention. I just want everybody to step up to the keyboard right now and enter in the country that they're from and how they found out about this event. Did they find out about it from Facebook, Chris Martinson, Survival Podcast, or other? So just give me your country of where you're located and give me how you found out about the event. And that way we'll just be able to spread the word better for future events such as this one. And Sky, if you're still there, if you can hear me, just go ahead and step up to the mic and ask your question. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if he can hear me. My question is, somebody's saying pay off your debt, and I say no. Why do I care whether the big bankers get their money? They've hosed us for so many years. I'm going to use the crap out of their money because I'm going to, in an SHTF situation, who's going to come and collect? I don't care if they get their money. I'm going to use it.
Actually, I told Jack to just take a little break, so we'll just wait for Jack to come back and answer that question. Great question, by the way, Sky. Good to see you on here.
Let me know if you want me to jump back in any, sir.
Actually, I'm really glad that you're bringing up this topic, Sky, because I've often put this out to, people who have like-minded thoughts about the future, etc. do we pay off our debt? Like, what do we do? I know it came up previously, but if you have a certain limited amount of money, do you go ahead and pay off that debt, or do you start accumulating gold and silver, or and survival gear and equipment, etc.? What's the best way to do it? What's the best way to go about it?
Great question. I'm back. So I did need a break. Ran off and grabbed a bottle of water and used the head real quick. But that is a good question. And let me tell you how I feel about debt. It is a cancer and it needs to be gotten rid of, period. But you can't do it tomorrow and you can't do it the next day. It's going to take time. So what I will tell you need to do is you need to sit down and write a debt elimination plan that you're going to stick with. And you're going to do it. And you're going to make it happen. And you're going to commit to it. And there's a set amount that you're going to pay every month. Then you start cutting every expense that you can that you don't need. And when you get more expenses cut, you have a choice. They can go toward preparedness, they can go toward debt, or they can be bifurcated between the two. But if you don't have the plan first, you really don't, you're just kind of like, what'll happen is, well, I'm going to invest in a garden, and I'm going to invest in gold, and the debt's not going to go away. You've got to have the debt elimination plan concrete, written down, in place, committed to 100%. And then, if you get to a point where all of a sudden, because you've cut out a cable bill or something else, you have an extra $50 a month. As long as the money to pay on the debt is already there and it's already happening, if all 50 of it goes to preparedness, I'm fine. If 25 goes to preparedness and 25 gets added onto the debt payment, I'm fine. But you got to have the debt elimination plan. And if your debt elimination plan is longer than 2 years, it's probably too long and you need to readjust. Now, I understand there might be some people that, you got suckered by a student loan guy and you've got $130,000 worth of student loan debt on a degree in, basket weaving. And if that's the case, okay, 2 years is not reasonable. For most people sitting on $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, if you're serious, if you'll deliver pizzas for a second job, if you'll if you'll do whatever it takes, you can get it done. So I hope that's a good answer. And Dave Ramsey has great advice about debt elimination, but his adversity toward gold, I agree with you. Don't ignore the good for the bad with Dave. Dave Ramsey's investment advice is worth exactly what you pay for it. Nothing. Dave Ramsey's advice on debt elimination is absolutely golden. Let's go ahead and take the next question. I missed something there taking a break. If anybody from the moderator staff needs to speak, go ahead. But otherwise, we'll take a question from Ultra Quiet next.
Hey, Jack. I'm just going to get Sky to come back and just make his comment. And he had a very specific comment and opinion about debt, which I think you probably missed when you were in the bathroom.
Thank you. Salenti says pay off your debt, and I say why? I don't care if they get their money. If you hit an SHTF situation, who's going to come and collect? They've raped us for so many years. I'm going to use their fiat system and buy whatever I want. I'm paying my bills. I'm not in over my head, but I ain't holding back. I don't care if they ever get their money.
Let me put it this way. You're entitled to your opinion. Don't ask for me to endorse it. And the problem that you have, sir, and you might not like hearing this from me, but the problem you have is you're betting on failure. And I'm going to tell you that failure is not a guarantee for the system. And if you keep playing this game, sooner or later you can get in over your head. And you're right. If the whole thing falls down, who's going to come collect it? You're dead on. But if the whole thing doesn't fall down or doesn't fall down in the right timing for you, you're putting yourself into a very bad situation. You're a grown man. You want to do it, go for it. Just don't ask for my endorsement on it. And I cannot tell anybody else there that I would take that advice. And I will tell you this, and if it hits you personally, I'm sorry. You owe money. You have a duty to repay it if you took the debt. You can say whatever the hell you want about they did it to us or they raped us. When you go out and slide that card or you go out and sign that contract, that's your name you're putting down there, and you're stating your intent to repay. You want to damn your own name in that situation. I'm not saying you are, because you say you're paying your bills, but if you want to get to the point where you might end up in that situation. You have to trash your own name, because just because somebody else did something wrong doesn't make it okay for us to do something wrong. I'm sorry if you don't like that, man. I'll even let you speak back on it, but that's where I'm at on it.
No, you're misinterpreting what I'm saying. I'm paying my bills. I'm not saying I'm not paying them or for anyone else not to pay them. But what I gathered from Sananti was, if you owe $3,000 here and you got $3,000 in your pocket, go pay it. I say no. Make the payments. You put your name on that note, you make the payments. And the rest of the money, you put it somewhere, you buy something, you do what you need to do as long as you can make that payment. But I'm not going to run out and pay everything off so the bankers got their money and all of a sudden tomorrow, the SHTFs, and then I haven't got anything.
Well, I'll tell you this. The shit isn't going to hit the fan in 24 hours around the world where the whole system crumbles. And if you need to go back into debt and times are starting to spiral down, you'll have plenty of time to do it. The way I look at any point where you have cash and debt, if you wouldn't go out and let's put it this way. If I have a car and I owe $3,000 on that car and I have $3,000 in cash, first of all, if that's the only cash I have, you're absolutely right. I need to keep cash in reserve. But if I have a $3,000 lump of cash that I can do something with, and you're going to tell me not to pay that car off, I'm going to ask you this. If the car was paid off, would you go back into debt on it for another $3,000? And if the answer is no, it's the same dadgone thing. I understand where you're coming from, but keep playing with debt, and sooner or later, it will burn you in the ass, man. I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying. You are paying your bills. But what you're also saying is you might as well stay in debt, because if the shit hits the fan, it ain't going to matter. And I'm telling you, you're not living your life in a way, if you're living with that attitude, you're not living your life in a way that's going to make your life better under all situations. And that's the way to build a solid, sustainable lifestyle. We can disagree on that. It's okay, man. I'm not putting you down or saying anything bad about you.
No problem. Thank you. I've been working my way out of the debt, and I'm going to continue doing that. That wasn't what I was saying, but I'm not going to go and pay it all off. I'm going to use that money for something else, and I'll pay it as I pay it, because they're going to determine when the SHTFs, and I'm not going to make that determination, but when it does, whatever's left, too bad for them, they lose. Thank you.
Go ahead, ultra quiet.
I don't know if I was being heard there, but what I was saying is you don't have to put every penny that you have toward debt, but you do have to have a debt elimination plan. I'm cool with everything you said, dude, as long as you're not telling me by making payments you mean you're making minimum payments, because you ain't ever going to pay it off that way. I think we can agree to disagree on the part we don't. I think we agree more than we disagree, actually. Let's go ahead and take a question from Ultra Quiet next.
Actually, Jack, he typed it in. It's just about 4 or 5 comments up there.
Yeah, I see it now. Do you think a 401k qualifies as an asset having a financial relationship you're referring to? Yes, it absolutely does, because it is a financial relationship. It's an investment vehicle. Have you heard any concrete information about 401k, IRA confiscation within your information circles? Absolutely none, zero. Everything right now is in like think tank mode with that. This is a long-term threat. It's not something you're going to do tomorrow. They're floating it. This is an idea that will not be done like an Orwellian totalitarian attack because of what I said earlier, where if you just do it, you will see. It would be like turning off Facebook and Twitter. You turn off Facebook and Twitter, Generation Y is going to go down to Washington and pull people out. You seize 401k plans, and Middle America is going to Washington, and they're taking their shovels, their pitchforks, and maybe their guns with them. So it won't be done overnight. This is something that they will use crisis to sell to the American people. Don't let it alarm you short term. Just know the threat is there and don't go to sleep on it. Pay attention to it. And when you start to see the push getting made, the attempt to sell it to people getting made, make sure you're one of the people speaking out against it. And if And for the person that says take all your money out of your 401k now, tax it or not, dude, you know, it's so